Oh no. Not again. Not already. Not this soon. No, no. Ah, jeez. It's nothing sacred. Why? Why? I just cleaned all this up. Seriously, it's all a mess. Again. Oh. Yep. Welcome back to New JANG City, where a lot of my recent cleanup work has been completely undone. Mostly just in this corner though, and for a good cause. Working on this terrain here, this very work in progress, obviously very incomplete terrain back here. I have finished up what I consider to be the second layer of at least 4 layers that will be put together here. So I've never done this before. I've never created large terrain with the big ugly rock pieces as kind of the substrate for it all. So this is all a learning process for me, and it's actually been working pretty well, and it has been surprisingly less boring, far less boring and repetitive than I expected. I mean, it's very important to me to not be repetitive with this stuff. You know, I don't want to show any patterns in it, and yeah, so far so good. Like I said, 2 layers. In other words, the big ugly rock pieces themselves, and then 1 layer of bricks on top of that in 2 colors. There will be at least 2 other major colors. I'm going to have the brown, and, for dirt, and I'm going to have the green for foliage, grass, moss, etc. I consider that to be 1 more layer, and then above that will be the actual foliage layer. Well, I'll put in where I will put in 3-dimensional foliage, custom stuff, and also pre-made, smaller foliage pieces, little plants and things. So that all remains to be done, but at least I feel like I'm getting some decent texture around here. It doesn't look like a collection of big ugly rock pieces. You can start to recognize things a little bit more around the corners, but I've tried to be kind of random with it. It has felt to me like sculpting, really, like sculpting with clay, starting with large shapes with lots of gaps in them, when you first put big handfuls of clay together, and then putting smaller amounts of material on top of that, and then starting to smooth some things in and filling in gaps especially. It's kind of actually been fun. I thought that I was going to dread this. I have not at all so far, and I've started to put in just the entrance. This was actually fun too, just the entrance of the tunnel that's going through here. Got a little bit of texture on the side there, a little bit of texture on the side there. Not nearly enough. I feel like I need to go farther. I need to push myself with that, get some different colors, but it's supposed to look relatively new and clean. I don't know, it might be a little bit too clean. I have to see how I feel about it after I get the rest of everything kind of built around it with the natural part of the terrain, and I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do around the edges for access to be able to get to the train if it ever derails or anything like that. Also, eventually I would like to be able to use some of that space under there. This is all going to be Planetary Defense Force Base, as is the plan and has been the plan for months over in this corner. Eventually I'll use that space under there. Let me just take you around to the edge where it'll make a little bit more sense. Some of this space, ooh, colorful Duplo. I've actually not looked at it from this angle ever because it's kind of well below my eye level, but eventually I do want to use some of this as a little bit of a garage space or something, just one of the levels. It's there, might as well use it. This will be the main stuff down here, but it'll be nice to use this. But the first part of this project will involve closing this off eventually. I actually don't know. I haven't decided yet if I want to just have the train tunnel kind of cut off or cut through so you can see the train going through here and it'll have the overhang above it, or if I'll have this sealed off completely with just access panels. Either way, the panels that I'll build up behind here will be removable so that I can get to the part of the interior of the base that will eventually be there. But right now I'm just focusing on kind of one thing at a time. So if you look around the back of this, you can see a little bit better how it's constructed. Very simple. Big ugly rock pieces. Mostly mostly rectangular ones. I use some of the medium-sized ones that are a little bit more triangular as well, but not a lot. From what I've heard and from what little I've seen, people usually kind of switch between those a lot to get a lot of variation. And I need a lot of verticality, and I needed to fill up a lot of space quickly, so I've relied more upon the second layer, the bricks that are placed on top to create more different forms. And inside even further, you can see more obviously just how a lot of the same pieces are used, and Duplo on the inside for support as needed. And I've got a little bit of framing up for where more Duplo will be built up to create this platform that will be extended out. This table that you're looking at here is actually intended to be here. This is what's going to be here. Base plates, I hope, in order to keep things relatively inexpensive, in order to avoid wasting too much money. Let me put it that way. I hope to put base plates directly on top of this, and the terrain will be built up some more, create a little bit of a lip around here. There'll be an inside wall to make it smooth for the inside of the exposed part of the base there. And then, it'll have its ground surface, which should be right here at this level, one base plate above the level of the table. And then there will be structures inside of there, probably a couple things that'll stick up a little bit out towards the edge and such, but that's the general plan and how it's coming together so far. And I'm liking it. I'm liking having some major terrain in this layout finally. The train's going to come through there perfectly fine. It's going to have plenty of clearance. I benchmarked to my tallest car, which is this one right here, the car carrier. And that actually has a little end of train device on it that I just recently added. Finally came up with, it just took like 2 minutes to do an end of train device design. Just the simplest thing. I had one before that was even simpler than this, but it would flop around just by putting the couple columns of studs on the sides. That just keeps it from flopping around. And my other train, my recent build of this passenger train here, is running all around the layout at high speed, medium speed. And it's running. This is its first time running. And it's able to negotiate the curves just fine. It looks pretty good. It's kind of unsafe for me to walk backwards with all the parts. Look at that. When it goes around the corners, I'll have to get some shots from the other side as well. But the Jacob's bogey is working out really well with the skirting around it. Oh, get a couple of the trains going past each other. It's always a good thing. Going a little bit too fast right now, but yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah, about that. About the zoo. So I've been saying for quite some time now that I'm going to rebuild my zoo. I need to get all the jungle cats in here. Yeah. So this is going to happen pretty soon. Honestly, I had not planned for this. This was not part of my plan of order of operations to need to work on this so soon after working on the Planetary Defense Force Base terrain. I thought I was going to have some time to work on some other stuff like actual structures in the Planetary Defense Force Base and whatnot, but nah, this is going to need to be worked on over here pretty soon. Let me take you back to the other side. Basically assume that everything that you're seeing here will at some point not exist in this form. This is going to be very thoroughly redone. I may have a different strategy for how to even lay out, how to even approach the exhibits in there. I do want to keep some of that backdrop stuff. I like that. I'm not sure how exactly that's going to work. I'm definitely going to have an aquarium. This one may be completely torn up and redone, but if anything, it'll be bigger. Hopefully a little bit nicer. I mean, I've made this how many years ago now? Was it 5 years? At least 4 years ago. It's kind of held its own. It's okay. I've made some tweaks now and then, but it wasn't designed to fit this space. I mean, all that back there, that's all notched in, and where I had to move the bathrooms that I moved, a year or two ago from here back to there that that needed to be moved to fit. This is kind of temporary right now with the placements of the road plates to kind of give you the visitor access. They'll have extra parking around there, probably have trees up around here, to kind of inset it into the terrain a little bit, but that's all going to have to be redone. And these plates may eventually come back out as I change the shape of everything. Might have enough room for yet another structure right in here. That would be nice. A little bit more terrain around the passenger tracks there, passenger train tracks. Let's watch this. Still going a little bit fast, but yeah, I really like that center section of it especially. This still needs to be filled in, and the terrain here needs to be filled in. So what I'm thinking is that I might be able to kind of continue this terrain. Let's see if I can get this one more time. Still too fast, but it's kind of smooth. I like it. I just like looking at it. That's why I made it, to enjoy looking at it. I've got this raised area, right? So that needs to be blended down, and it needs to be blended out. The inner loop is going to stay at the ground level, but I need to kind of blend in between there to kind of fake it, to make it look a little bit more, kind of go with the optical illusion from back here that the water is lower than the land. But since that's going to be blended in there, it's going to be blended in here, all the way around here, maybe I can just kind of extend that across the road just a little bit as well. Have just a little bit of height there. Just a little bit, not a lot. Not like another tunnel or anything. I also need to figure out how the tunnel exit back there is going to go. It's probably going to have a long extension, a sound wall. And yeah, I need to figure out how to make that all as efficient as reasonably possible. I'm going to have a train going through a full-on tunnel for the first time. You know how long it's been that I have wanted to have a train going through a long tunnel where I would have the potential to actually watch it go through the tunnel from the other side? It has been since I was more than 30 years ago, maybe 32, 33 years ago or so. I went to a train, like a HO scale model train layout that was publicly accessible. I had visiting hours. I have to see if they still exist in my region. A little bit of a drive from where I live now, but I went there and they had a display where they had the French TGV, the original one, which was still kind of new to us Americans, at least at that time, and a really awe-inspiring thing. And they had one that would go through a tunnel in a very dark space. It was all completely covered, and you could watch it. They had special times when they would run it because it would run extra fast. And I've been inspired since then, for that many years, by that experience of being there and watching that orange train. Orange. Orange. Passenger trains. Yep. Yeah, it's all tied together. It's all tied together. Since then, I've been inspired, and finally I'm going to make that a reality of something that I will actually own and that I will actually have created. Never would have expected it to happen. Life goals, man. Sometimes stuff that you come up with that you like as a kid is dumb. to be blunt. Later in life you're like, what was I thinking? I'm so glad I got past that. But some things, every once in a while, you get lucky with, they stick with you, they affect you in a positive way, and then you're able to hold on to it. Maybe not necessarily making them literally real, like I'm going to be doing with a lot of this stuff here, like I have been doing with a lot of this stuff here, but yeah, just good stuff. I'm rambling, but I'm smiling behind the camera because I'm really enjoying where things are going. I haven't made as much of a mess, obviously, as like was kind of making it seem at the beginning of the video. Most of the layout is still intact. It's just this corner over here where I've been working, and I needed to bring up some major buckets of parts, where hundreds and hundreds of parts have been put into there, and many more will be put in yet. So yeah, I'm just going to continue on it. Wanted to share my progress and some of the background and some of the thoughts and some of where I'm going and why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's all good stuff. Thank you for following along. Lots more to come. Talk to you again soon. Yeah, I wanted to show that one last time.